You probably know that feeling where you put on an outfit that you really love and you feel good in, and you just start carrying yourself a little differently. You're walking a little taller, you're speaking a little louder, you're feeling a little bit more confident. Well, guess what? That is not just in your head. It's also not because you're shallow or vain. It's psychology at work. And today I'm going to explain to you the science behind why how we dress and dressing well can actually have an effect and change our brains in the way that we think, act, carry ourselves, and why that has nothing to do with vanity. It's all about how you see yourself and why that actually matters. While I'm not one to beat the drum of telling women that, somehow we have to feel like the world is out to get us and everything is against us, it's not that, but I do think it's important to understand that the way things are viewed can be very different for men and women, and also for older women and younger women. It seems that societally we have an acceptance about certain things and are unwilling to accept, or we become somewhat judgmental about others. As an example, when a man dresses really well, when he puts on a nice tailored suit, when he carries himself well, he gets showered with compliments and told how he looks like such a gentleman, right? He looks so great, so handsome, so refined. But often as women, when we attempt to dress up a little bit more, maybe dress out of our normal attire or wear a style that people are not used to seeing us in, instead of getting showered with compliments about how good we clean up and how great we look, we get accused of being vain and shallow. There's a little bit of a narrative that for women, being the type that to just neglect yourself and not care about any of those things makes you noble and humble. And it's super important to point out before anybody starts blaming men for this, women, this is our fault, okay? We do this to each other. This is not men telling us that we shouldn't care at all about our appearance and that we're noble and humble for not caring. It's women, all right? We're doing this to each other. We're not going to fall too down the rabbit hole of sciencey things, but it is important to understand that there is a term called enclothed cognition. And this is basically that how we are dressing is actually going to have an impact on how we present in the world and how we take care of tasks, how we do things. There's a research study that talks about just by simply putting on a white lab coat, people would perform better on attention to detail kind of tasks. It's like they took themselves more seriously and saw themselves as perhaps important, like I might be a doctor in my mind kind of a thing. And so they actually performed better on the tasks they were given simply by putting a white lab coat on. Our brains are powerful, but they can also be tricked, all right? And looking at yourself in the mirror and just smiling and being like, I'm so happy, this is going to be a great day. We can kind of trick our brains into tipping over into that happy and I am going to have a great day. It's very important to understand that part of that trickery can come from how we dress. If we dress in a way that says, I take myself seriously, I consider myself to be someone that is worth listening to or paying attention to, that can actually be reflected in our behavior when we reflect it in our clothing and style as well. So when you wear something that sort of symbolizes confidence or strength or creativity, your brain will reflect that and kind of start acting accordingly. I'm sure many of us have heard the expression that you only get one shot at a first impression, but this isn't actually about how others see you. That's important, and it's an important leg of the sort of overall picture of why it's not vain and shallow to care about your outward appearance. But it's only one leg, but the other and arguably more important one is how you see yourself. Studies have shown time and again that people who feel like they are well dressed tend to be people who will speak up more, they will take risks more, they walk a little bit taller, they hold their heads a little bit higher. This is not about chasing trends. This is not about like, you have to dress like all the youngins. You have to, dress in a way that says like, look at me, look at me. It's not about that. It doesn't have to be a bold style. It doesn't have to be a trendy style. It's about aligning your outward appearance with how you feel on the inside. Caring for ourselves on the inside and the outside are both equally important, especially as we age. And you've heard me say many times that I do feel as though the kind of medical industry as a whole, a lot of the health and biohacking things, they're all very much geared towards men and like male longevity. So for many of us women, especially the kind of 40 plus crowd, it's seen sometimes again as vain or shallow to care about the aging process and longevity, but it's not. It's about health. And yes, a lot of that is going to be seen on the outside, right? What we're doing on the inside, the choices we're making are often going to be reflected on the outside, which is amazing. It's not that we're trying not to age. Obviously, we are aging. We just want to age well, and we want to live as long as possible and be as healthy as possible in that time. I shared with you guys a month or two ago my sort of journey beginning with using Midi Health. I had an amazing visit with a Midi clinician. She wrote me a prescription. I was able to get it filled, mailed to my house, and I have been using that estrogen cream, and it has literally changed my skin. Using this estrogen cream that has hyaluronic acid in it. It's a prescription grade estrogen cream. And she had mentioned that she had written a number of prescriptions lately for this estrogen blend. And she was even starting it herself because of how many people had seen such amazing results from it. So there's many different aspects of Midi Health and what they offer. It's a virtual care clinic for perimenopause and menopause. And now they have a new program, the longevity care. This is for women of all ages. It's about empowering you to age as healthy as you can, feeling stronger, more balanced, all of those things. When you book a Midi Age Well visit, you're going to get a personalized care plan. They also have cutting edge screenings that are going to help with detecting cancer and other health concerns really early, advanced lab testing that's going to help monitor your risk of cardiovascular disease and inflammation. You also have access to 24/7 support. And the Age Well visit is so much more than just like an annual exam, annual visit. If that's what you're thinking of, it's so much more than that. You are going to get your annual checkups, the lab screenings, all of that. But there's also like this whole level of proactive longevity review where they're going to look at your personal health, family health history, the test results, symptoms, all of it's going to come together to help shape a very bespoke or personalized care plan for you. And again, these are insurance covered virtual care visits. If you are looking for personalized and compassionate care that is covered by insurance, then just click my link down below in the description box to book your first Midi visit. It's equally as important that we're caring for ourselves from the inside and the outside. And if you're having trouble with like how you're thinking about this, how you're thinking about style, I would encourage you to think of style as a tool, right? Like some people get all in their heads about money, right? Money is evil. It's the root of all evil. Yes, money is a tool and it can be used for good or bad. Caring about style and fashion, that is a tool, right? How you dress, your style, your clothing, it's a tool. And if you think of it like that, and it's a tool that you use to help the world to see you in the way that you want to be seen. It is merely a tool that can be sort of used for good or bad in much the same way as any other tool. When you show up in the world in a way that feels very strongly aligned with like who you are, what your values are, what matters to you, how you see yourself, that doesn't make you shallow. I think another really helpful way to think about it, I would imagine as you're sitting here watching this, you probably give quite a bit of thought and consideration to how you decorate your home, where you place the furniture, what kind of furniture you have, what colors you use, what you paint the walls, the exterior of your home. You don't do all of that because you're insecure about your home and so you're trying to like put lipstick on the pig. No, you do that because you want your home to feel like you. You want your home to be reflective of your family, your values, the things that matter to you. And so it's much the same with how we dress and what our wardrobe choices are and how we're presenting ourselves in the world. It's not about insecurity. It's about having something that feels reflective on the outside of what's going on the inside. Let's talk for a second about the mirror theory and our moods. How are these things tied together? Well, our brains are wired to respond to visual feedback. We take things in, what we see, and we respond to it. Simple, right? So when you look in the mirror and you like what you see, you're far more likely to have positive emotions throughout the day. You're more likely to just have kind of positive thoughts and feelings. What you feel on the inside feels like it's reflected on the outside, and that makes you feel more in alignment with like who you are, which obviously is going to have an effect on your thoughts and feelings. I feel it's important to continue to stress and remind you that this is not about impressing other people. It's about knowing who you are and feeling as though that is being affirmed in the way that you're dressing and the way that you are seeing yourself. Dressing poorly can actually really drag you down. Think about a time when maybe you stayed in your pajamas all day and just kind of slugged around, okay? I'm just gonna tell you a true story here. On Mother's Day, I was like, I think I'm just gonna lay in bed. That's what I want for Mother's Day, right? I'm just gonna lay in bed all day. I still had on my PJs from the night before. They were comfy, cozy. My kids brought me all these homemade things and this big basket of snacks and stuff. And I thought, I'm just gonna be totally lazy and I'm gonna stay in bed all day in my PJs. By the afternoon, late after, I felt like garbage. I actually felt sick that evening and into the next day because my body was like, what are we doing? Why are we in bed all day? Are we ill? What's wrong with us? I wasn't actually sick, but I started feeling sick. I started feeling nauseous. It was because essentially like slugging myself out all day, right? So our brains are wired, to try to figure out what's going on. So it's not just about the messages that we're sending out into the world, but it's also about the messages that we're sending to ourselves. Are we sending the message that we are ill? We've come down with the black lung and we must stay in bed all day. Like, no. So getting out of our PJs, I am of the era of the women who read and knew about Fly Lady. Very important lesson from Fly Lady was to put your shoes on every day. All right. For those of you who don't wear shoes in the house, you're probably dying right now. But it was very important, an important lesson and takeaway from her. Two things I took from her was go to bed with a clean sink. And when you get up the next day and you get dressed and put some shoes on, it makes you feel like a person entering the world, especially for stay-at-home moms, or maybe you're working from home, or maybe you're a stay-at-home wife, maybe you've retired, whatever it is, getting up and getting dressed and putting shoes on as though we are ready for the day. It's an important signal to send to our brain. And here's the hard but honest truth, all right? I say this with so much love because I have 8 children. I've homeschooled. I've been in the trenches. I've worked from home at the same time as homeschooling. I've had newborn twins, like all of the things going on. I have not allowed myself to be a PJ slug for the majority of my motherhood journey because it was very important to me that my brain did not start to feel like I had given up on myself. And when we continually dress in a way or don't get out of our PJs, stay in those clothes all the time, we are sending signals to our brains that say we have given up. Because it's within our human nature to wake up, arise to the day, and get started with something. It doesn't matter if you're going to work or if you're working around your home and tending to your place and your people. That's still your job. When you live like you've given up, your brain reads that signal. All right, it does. And it's like, all right, well, we've given up. That's a dangerous place to be, a place I never wanted to be, a place I don't want you to be either. What you're wearing is always communicating something, all right? No matter what, even if you don't mean for it to, you don't want it to, you're like, I'm not trying to say anything with this outfit. Doesn't matter. It's doing the talking anyways. There's no amount of duct tape that's going to make it shut up, all right? What we're wearing, how we're dressed is saying something. I don't care. That's a message. It could be saying that. Honey Badger, don't give. You know what? That's something it could say. But the most important question to ask is what you're wearing telling the story. Is it saying the thing you want it to say? It's a powerful form of nonverbal communication, and you want to be in charge of what it is communicating. Do you want it to communicate that you've given up, that you don't care? Do you want it to communicate that you're confident but quiet? Do you want it to communicate that you're bold and fun and quirky? Do you want it to communicate that you're artistic? Like, what do you want it to communicate? You are in charge of that. You don't need some giant wardrobe or even like the perfect capsule wardrobe or some kind of like fashion degree from, I don't even know where you get one of those, but like a fashion degree. You don't need any of that stuff. I want you to grab a pen and a piece of paper before we wrap up this video. And I want you to write down what colors bring you joy. What colors, when you see them, when you wear them, what colors bring you joy? We're going to start there. Then I want you to think about the outfits that you've worn in the last year. Which ones made you feel like unstoppable? Which ones made you feel so good? Write those down. What outfits made you feel like you wanted to hide? Like you didn't want to be seen by anybody. I just want to hide. Those are outfits that we want to take off the rotation. Okay. We don't want to be wearing those. If those were outfits that were like, oh Lord, if anybody sees me, we want to try to take those out of the rotation. Getting up, getting yourself dressed every day can absolutely be a simple act of self-respect. It says, I care enough about me to take care of me. It's a simple thing that has such an outsized impact because it says, I'm worth showing up for. I believe that. I don't need you to tell me that. I know it. I'm showing it. I'm worth showing up for. Because just in case no one's ever told you, or maybe you just need to hear it again, you are absolutely worth showing up for. Dressing well and trying to dress your best is not shallow. It's not vain. It can be strategic. It's psychological. It's empowering. You don't need my permission or anyone else's to start dressing in a way that makes you feel your best. I just sincerely hope that the next time you see something or someone says something that makes you feel like you're being shallow or vain for caring about that at all, that you will remember this and that you will understand that that person's got their own things, their own issues going on that they need to deal with. And it's far more about their own insecurity than it is about you. You care about yourself enough to know and believe that is not true, okay? You know it's not true, and you're gonna continue to hold your head high, dress yourself in a way that feels like you, that makes you feel good about you, and go out into the world and just show up as your very best self.